We're here at the Smart Mine today. Always remember, folks, to pay the fee. All the money that is all the money that's paid in fees actually is donated to a charity, so it's well worth it. Don't skimp out. Don't be a heartless person. Put your fee in, and then get to digging. Let's see if we can find some nice ones. So I'm here at the Smart Mine with some buddies. Actually, I got here a little later than everyone else, but that's so recovering from my trip from Cobalt. Thought I'd just show you this before I start digging. Check out the diopsides. Well, diopside or pyroxene, who knows, on that one. Big chunky ones. Hopefully, it looks like the vein, basically, you can see where they've been digging already. It just continues farther. It just continues farther down. So I'm gonna start digging and see what I can pull up. So I'm just still scraping the surface, and you can kind of see the eroded material here. And like I've just been pushing it out and just sifting through it. And like I found this partial large chunk of probably apatite by the looks of it. It's pretty beat up and eroded. But then I also found this Titanite. It looks most of it is there, so that's good. I'll have to clean it up to be for sure, but if that's on top in the heavily eroded material, I wonder what's below. Hopefully something real good. Hopefully, yeah, there it goes. So
Awesome.
Flashes on, so you've got light.
All right, so we got this little crystal cavern in here, and you can see. I gotta get my hand on there for the reference. You just
chunk.
Yeah.
It's a huge crystal.
You can see there's a face back there as well, and all in here. Just huge feldspars. Oh, is this one loose?
Nope. So we got another vein just right beside the vein Eric just showed. And you can see the wall is just peppered in, well, peppered is not the correct term, just covered in, I'm pretty sure that's just a Titanite sitting right there. Huh. There's a Titanite poking out the wall. There's a couple Titanites here, actually. Just sitting here. You can see that they are just, this wall is peppered in like pyroxene, feldspar, and then look at that. Do you guys know what that is? That is a freaking huge feldspar crystal. Just sitting right there. Well, it's not sitting right there. It's stuck in there, real big. My friend Eric already tried to move it, and it's not budging. So that is a crazy thing. So I started digging in that mud, and I pulled out some stuff. These are all Titanites. This is a large partial. You can kind of see the rough wedge shape, and just this side especially. You can see this one's a smaller kind of tabby Titanite. And then there was some actually pretty nice small kind of pyroxene, diopside, I don't know what you want to call these, clusters coming out. This one's really nice. But yeah, we got a whole bunch of stuff. I think this one might have a little Titanite on it. Just a little tiny wedge in there. But yeah, there's stuff here. People are going after the really big feldspars, so they've even left like these feldspars. I mean, they're not perfect, but pretty interesting. So I've got a nice one at home. I found a floater a couple years ago, I believe. It would have been a couple years ago, or maybe it was last year. I can't remember. I think it was last year I found a floater. Did pretty well. But I think I'm going to continue this. And actually there's apatites here too, and some feldspars. Some of them have a little bit of pinfire on the faces. This one does. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. That's pretty darn cool. So I think I'm gonna continue this for sure. Yesterday I was just kind of exploring everywhere, trying to figure out where it was good. Apparently yesterday there was pretty nice Titanite that came out of here. So at the end of the day I was messing around in that corner over there, and I pulled out a really decent double-terminated apatite. And today pulled out a couple apatites with some decent terminations. Here's another terminated piece and a big chunk. So I'm feeling that back corner hasn't really been fully dug out, so I'm just gonna go head first into there and dig out as much as possible. So this is basically what I did in here. Just head first, arms into the crevices, scraped away at the material, and pulled stuff out. And I'll show you that stuff. So this is what I did. I basically went deep into those crevices you can see down there, and just scraped till my fingers hit where the calcite vein pinches against the bottom, and just pulled out whatever I could. No big shiny Titanites, but a couple decent points of apatite, and I'll show you that right now. So here's the haul so far. This one's a pretty decent one. It's got the point broken on one end, but it's got at least got one of the points intact. This one here is, I've got the 2 halves, so I'll take that home and repair it. And they're quite dirty, of course, but you can see the faces and the points. This was one I just pulled out right at the end, I believe. I think this is the one I just pulled out right at the end. Pretty sure it's double terminated. It's got the termination on that end, and then it's got a wonkier termination on that end, so I'm quite happy with that one. Yesterday in the late in the day, I pulled another double terminated out of this area, so that's a nice one. And then I pulled this out. Doesn't look like much right now, but I believe there's a bunch of feldspars on there. So I'm hoping there might be some little titanites on there as well. That would be cool. But yeah, you can see I've got a bunch of apatite and some feldspar and stuff, and maybe some dirty things that might be some titanite. I don't know. I'm just going to wrap this stuff up and head out soon because I got to be home early. I was just separating out all my material and just going through it. I pulled out this piece. That's definitely a titanite. You can see that wedge shape. There's some smaller ones on it. Hopefully that'll clean up nicely. But yeah, you could just see, like, this is what it looks like pulling them out of the dirt. The one good way of telling, like, if it's super heavy, just always put it off to the side. If you see any of these, like, edges, because sometimes it'll be broken calcite, but calcite's not too heavy. So if you find something that looks wedge shaped and heavy, definitely pull it out. Well, that's very exciting. I'm very happy about that. At least I get to come away with one titanite specimen, or one decent one at least. At least it looks like it'll be decent. I'll have to clean it up. I'm still a bit under the weather. Sorry if I sound a little weird. But I'm just going to quickly do some background then. At this property, the main reason they were there mining was to mine the flora apatite that was there. There were some trenches there, some mining trenches that they dug for this flora apatite in the past, and this flora apatite was used to produce fertilizer because of the phosphate in the flora apatite. Now, flora apatite mining for fertilizer fell out of favor, mainly because they found it more economic to go to islands covered in bird poop and dig that bird poop up and use that as fertilizer. So that's why we don't use flora apatite really that much anymore for fertilizer. Though there are some edge cases. I've heard of places using apatite, but that's like apatite sand and stuff like that. But without further ado, let's look at the interesting minerals here. Here we have a couple of those kind of diopside pyroxene specimens that I dug out on the first day. Nothing super crazy, but there were a couple of larger chunks with some nice crystals on them. Out of that same pit, we got a couple of Titanites. Here's a larger partial one, some sharp faces. But then there's also these little tiny ones kind of on it. Here is a tiny one, or a bunch of tiny ones kind of fused together. Now, on the second day, I dug somewhere else, and this apatite was responsible for that. At the end of the first day, I dug around an area where one of my friends had found a nice Titanite, and I pulled out this nice double-terminated, double crystal apatite specimen. You can see it's very classic to have like some nicer terminations on the one end and then some really wonky, weird, kind of melted looking terminations. I suspect it's due to the fact that as the apatite was growing, it broke and then it started regrowing or rehealing on the one end. So it left it with some varied terminations. So it's pretty cool when you find, I find that it's pretty uncommon to find some nice double-terminated, clean terminations, both terminations being clean at the Smart Mine or Miller property, depending on what you want to call it. Now, the second day treated me very well. I pulled out right at the end of my digging, I pulled out this awesome single double-terminated apatite. This is terminated on the top. It's just a little bit squat and not very sharp, and then it's just got the classic partially melted terminations, and you can see actually the side has kind of been etched out as well. So I think some of it's to do with etching, and then some of it's to do with rehealing and regrowing after breaks, but it's kind of hard to tell for sure. But a nice dark red apatite. This was a large singular point I pulled out. It's got a pretty nice large singular termination, which is why I like it. A sharp top termination. As you can see, a lot of the ones I found were just singular terminated points and broken on one end, which is unfortunate, but that's how it goes. Then we have a couple of these. These are all double terminated, but they have these the mix of red and green, the Christmas green as I like to call it. You can see on this end there's a green tip, and then there's green mixed in the tip over here as well with the red, which is cool. This one is also another clear example of having some green mixed in with the red, and a wonky terminated end, but still very cool nonetheless. I did find a couple plates of Feldspar. This was the nicer one. It's covered in Feldspar crystals. This kind of black covering, I suspect, is like either just a light coating of inflammable or pyroxene. This Feldspar specimen is also cool because it has some Titanites clustered on the one side. You can see all the sharp crystals. Kind of goes around, and it's all tiny little Titanites here. It's pretty cool. But a very interesting plate of Feldspar crystals. I would say the best find of the trip had to be this cluster of Titanites. This is probably the best, sharpest Titanites I have in my collection that I personally collected. You can just see it's just covered in sharp, very lustrous Titanites all over. It's like a rosette of Titanites. And you got the singular large crystal. Very nice and sharp. Very minimal damage on the specimen. You can see all those sharp faces. Just so sharp and so lustrous. This is why Titanite is so cool, in my opinion, especially the Ontario Titanites. Just like when you can get them like this, it's amazing. But this brings us to the end of this video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please do in the comments below let me know what your favorite is. Please do like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next video.